Hello, this is Yvonne Teoh Bource with Your Soul Wisdom. And this time I would like to discuss meditation. Now, it's a subject that, we talk about, and it's offered to us in many different ways. And so I thought I would spend a little time examining it and why it's important, and the different ways that we can go about meditation depending on the intention behind it. So my passion is always to connect people with the best of themselves, to guide and support so that you find that path to your inner self and really recognize just how amazing you are, and find your talents and your gifts and are able to express those fully into the physical and live a really wonderful, fulfilled life. So everything that I talk about and everything that I do is focused on that intent, to offer you information and wisdom that I've gathered and gained over the last 30 some years of doing this work. So if any of what I talk about interests you, and if you feel you'd like to do some work with me in any capacity, then just check out all the links in the description box, and by all means just tick the description box as well, and the bell beside it, and we will be connected, and you will always be notified when I do any YouTubes at all. So, and I am making some changes in the, as where I have been doing these weekly and specifically on a Monday morning, and we have to be a little bit careful that we get into a rut, that we get into a groove, and that we have expectations, because one of the most wonderful things that we discover when we're on this journey of spirituality and we learn to trust in what's to come, then it is having trust in the unknown. And therefore I avoid making things definite, like I have to do this, because if I have to put a have to any of my work, then I am not being true to myself. So, and I also am not being I'm not working with my guidance. I then am getting back into my head, which is not a really good place for me to be at. So I will post these when the guidance tells me to post it, and that's how I'm learning to live these days, and I don't want to alter that and go back. So this topic of meditation came up last week because it is something that everybody talks about, but do we know what it really means, and do we know why we do it and why it's necessary? So I thought I'd look at the reasons why it's important and the benefits of it, and maybe also talk about a couple of different ways of meditation. So the word meditation itself actually means to focus on one thing, to be just purely, you have an intention of being in one thing. However, that is now changing, because a lot of meditation is about becoming, going into a broader space, a broader a void of the unknown, which is where all the infinite possibilities live. So the more that we become aware of what we are and what is still possible for us, the less our meditations really become about physicality, and the more they become about metaphysical, or the going beyond what we know as our reality, to search for what is true. So let's look at the basics of meditation first. And for me, that is the importance of meditation is to still the mind, is to still the chatterbox, to find that place of stillness where heart and mind can connect peacefully. And so I really need peace around me. I need stillness around me. I'm not one of those people that has to have music in the background all the time, or has to have the radio on, or needs to turn on the television as soon as they get out of bed. I just find that I need stillness around me most of the time. I guess it's one of the reasons I love walking in the forest, when there is absolute stillness and all you hear is the rustling of the leaves. It is a space where I feel really, really connected, and so all the other noise outside is really an interference and a distraction. So my first reason for meditation was to find stillness within and to find inner peace within. The other reason for meditation is to connect with my, if you want to live according to your intuition, which intuition is the inner teacher. Well, for you to hear the inner teacher, you really have to still the mind. Otherwise, you don't hear it. So, learning to still the mind, learning to not be preoccupied with the 60,000, 70,000 thoughts that are randomly running around in that box called a skull. You really have to take yourself to a place where you're not paying any attention to that. So I guess the first thing to learn about meditation is to take your attention away from the random thoughts that keep running through your mind. And to be able to do that, you need to put your attention on something else. And that is why it's so important to learn to use the breath. People recommend you use the breath to meditate. The body is just such an amazing, amazing instrument that we have no idea how to use. So I'd like to give you a couple of triggers of relaxation that the body automatically creates, and you're aware of it. Let's look at the simple thing of a sigh. Why do you think we sigh? Do it with me. Just go. How many times a day do you sigh? And what does it feel like when you sigh? What does the body feel like? Well, the body suddenly lets go, doesn't it? When you suddenly go, your body lets go, but so does your mind in that moment. And what it's telling you is that within you there is stress that in that moment needs release. So let it go. You let go the breath and you let it go, and with that everything in you just opens up and relaxes and is at ease. And that is why the quickest way to find that inner peace and inner silence is to observe the breath. And you don't have to change your breathing, you just have to observe the breath. And let's just do that for a minute. Let's just breathe, and I want you to just pay attention to your breathing. And as you're paying attention, I also want you to have a secondary attention on your shoulders and your body. So as you are now paying attention to your breath, notice what your body does when you're paying attention to your breath. Now, not with the intention of changing the breath, just to be the observer. Well, I'm not sure what happened for you, but for me, there is an instant release. My shoulders just relax instantly, and I feel my upper body just letting go, and I just sit in a very peaceful state very quickly. So these are triggers that the body offers you that you just don't use, and I'd really like you to use them. One of my other ones, of course, is to close your eyes and then look up into the tops of your eyelids gently without strain and observe your breath. Just a little addition. And when you do that, if you do that for a little while, it's like all of your concerns and all of the heaviness just rolls off the back of your neck. Now, you can do these things any time during the day, particularly if you're in a stressful job or a stressful situation. You can take a couple of seconds and just observe your breath and just come to a calm state. So that takes only seconds. Meditation doesn't mean that you have to put aside an hour or 10 minutes even. It can be just an instant, and ultimately it's about learning to live in a meditative state. And so what that means is you live in a state of peace and calmness. So just a couple of things that you can do to bring more inner peace and calm to you. So the more calm you are within, and the more you can have that stillness around you, the clearer your intuition becomes, the clearer that inner voice becomes, and the more connected you become to who you truly are, that inner energy, life force, soul, Fred nerd, whatever you want to call it, that is your true self and is your inner guidance system, your inner teacher. Whilst you are busy with the outside world all the time, you can't hear it. So that's why meditation is so important. It is to have a period of stillness, however short or however long, where you can tune in with intention. I always say with intention. Have an intention for your meditation. Why are you meditating? Because the moment that you have an intention, and that intention can be that you need some guidance on a question. You have to make a decision about something important, and you really can't make up your mind, right? Because your mind can only come up with information from the past experience, and you want a clear and new and wonderful future. So therefore your mind can't really help you. So in that moment, if you can then find that moment of stillness, you can go into a meditation and just observe your breathing and ask your inner self, your inner guidance system, that part of you that knows, give me some sign, give me some information, give me something that makes sense to me, that will point me in the direction of the highest possibility and the greatest good of all. For that, if you have that intention, it's a great intention to have, particularly for people who are not good with making decisions, who are not really that quick about feeling what is right for them and what is not necessarily, something that's going to benefit them. Then I always suggest, if you're not sure, meditate on it. Just have an intention, go within, ask the question, switch off your brain. Don't listen to the answers in the brain, but listen to the answers from within. And it'll always steer you in the direction that will be for your highest good. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily look like it's the right direction, but ultimately what you have to learn from it and who you meet in the process, they always in hindsight show you that was absolutely the proper way and the most beneficial way to go. So that's another, a reason that we meditate. You might meditate because you want to do a healing for yourself. Yes. So again, you picture yourself in your wholeness, in the health that you would like, and then you meditate on that. You go within, and you focus on seeing yourself healthy, and so that's a whole different kind of meditation where visualization comes into place. So there are many, many different ways of using this going within, which people call meditation, and getting inner guidance. It's something that the more you practice it, the easier it becomes, and the more beneficial it becomes, and the greater the clarity that you gain from it. So why? Well, because we are so disconnected from who we truly are if we're only ever in the analytical mind. If we only ever look at this life through the eyes of the physical, we miss so much. We do. And meditation is a doorway that connects us to the inner, so that the outer becomes more meaningful, and we experience it in greater depth. I spent yesterday in a beautiful seminar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and of course his work I followed for a long time. And for me, what is so wonderful is that when I first started this work, when I first went on my journey of spirituality, and I had my awakening, this was all foreign to me. And so it's over 30 years ago, so all the things that are now norm for you was totally not even in the ether at the time. So I used to go to bed, and I would go to bed asking for the highest possibility, and please show me the way. And I would wake up with all this information in my head, and I just started teaching it. And now when I go to a seminar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he is doing all the research on the brains and how the brains are affected by when we meditate, or what thoughts do to the neural configuration in our brain, and he has all this scientific proof, that I just go, yes, well, you see, I didn't have that scientific proof. I just needed to trust that whatever information was downloaded for me, I then put it into practice, and I saw the results. But there was no scientific proof at the time, because most people thought that, I was some new age crazy woman, and it was like, don't go near her, right? But now, when all this scientific proof is coming forward and showing the brain scans as how amazingly our brain is affected by the intention of meditation, and how we can actually create new neural pathways consciously and have a whole different experience of our reality, that is now all becoming scientifically proven. And for me, that is like, oh, thank you for doing that, because I have been having to do this and teach this on trust and on results, so that when my students would trust what I said and they would practice it, they would get the result. But we certainly didn't have any, 8,000 different people tested and their brain waves showing how amazing, meditation affects you. And it does. So now that is just so exciting for me, because it just puts all my work into context, and I just go, wow, there's the proof of what I've been teaching for 30 years. And that's very exciting. So yes, that is what meditation does. It alters your brain waves. So then you feel differently, and you are creating different neural pathways. And I've spoken about, our neural pathways and neuroplasticity in past videos, and I will be discussing that more, because that is where we're going. Humanity is awakening. We are in the process of evolution and becoming more and more aware and more open, and able to utilize more and more of our DNA and of our brains, of our brain function. So there are very exciting times ahead. But it all starts with stilling the analytical mind, and we do that through meditation. And the more that you can do that, the clearer the connection with your soul, with your inner self, will become. So that's really what I want to encourage you to do right now. This ability to relax into yourself and to allow your true self to come to step forward. There used to be a television program, will the real Julie or whatever stand up? Well, what I want is for you to learn, will the real you come forward and stand up? But if you think that you're so attached to the persona and the reality of your persona, then you will never find the real you. And I can promise you that the real you is worth finding and worth experiencing, because when you do, you don't have to look in the outside world for gratification. You don't have to look for love. You don't have to look for things because you have it all within you. And the funny thing is that when you have it all within you, all those things that I just mentioned are automatically, magnetically drawn into your life. Such a magical world to live in. So do you think maybe it would be worthwhile to put meditation at the top of your list? And even every day, if you just do it for 5 minutes, I can promise you when you start doing it regularly, it just becomes a routine like breathing that you don't ever want to give up. So meditation, that is really what I want to encourage you to do. So I just want to now mention for a moment my spiritual Connect to Soul retreats in Bali, because they are focused. Meditation is daily, and it's focused meditation to connect you to soul. Now I have just got a place available in the May retreat, which is May the 16th to the 23rd. I have a place that just come available, so if you feel drawn to that, well, just click on the link of the retreats down in the description box and contact me. The other one is September the 12th to the 19th, 2019. That is almost booked out also, and I only have one and possibly two. It'll be, I've got a list of people who want to do it, but it is first come, best dressed. So if that interests you, again, check it out on my website and on the link below, and contact me. So that retreat is purely designed for you to not only connect with your life force and whatever you want to call that, but it's also about connecting to the magician within, the healer within. It's to be able to devote 7 days to just listening to you, to just being with you. There's nothing else for you to do. It's such a nurturing and wonderfully enlivening experience. So I would encourage you to have a look at that, and perhaps let me know if it interests you. They will probably be all booked up, and the bookings close before the end of the year, so you will have to contact me quickly. So they're the meditations that I certainly do for my retreats. So any of the other work that I do is all focused in the same direction, and it is to bring forth who you truly are, to get you to find your inner truth, to learn how powerful it is, to learn to operate it for your benefit and the benefit of all, and to in this lifetime to find fulfillment, so that at the end of it you have no regrets, and you can say, wow, that was one wonderful experience, including the challenges and the ups and downs, because it's that what offers you the opportunity to grow. So meditation, and remember, just breathe. Breath itself is the life force connecting you to this field of consciousness. So allow it to show you the inner self through calm, peacefulness, awareness, awakening to who you truly are. Again, tick the subscription box, please, and the little bell besides, and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you go with your meditations. In the meantime, love yourself more. Know that this life's a gift, so utilize it well. And find peace in mind and heart. Namaste.